Yeah, good evening and welcome back to EEP 15. I thought it is time for another update here on the river delta layout, and I will first, tell you the plan for the evening. I wanted to give you a brief update on what has changed since last time, and then run the first train that actually is on the freight side, going to the main train station here on this side, and then crossing over to the river. To the buildings that you see across there, and it's picking up coal there. Well, we have here a little coal mine, which is yet unfinished. Fair warning, once we get started with that, the train will pass through some completely unfinished and semi-finished areas. So don't expect a completely, beautiful layout. It is work in progress as usual. Yeah, so let's start with the first part. What has changed since last time? I put in here in the street south of the rail yard, or the train station, I should say, I put a few fences in between the houses just to make them look a little bit more ready. I, of course, have to do something else there as well, not just the fences. And the fences go up to, they continue here, in between the houses, up to this road. And after that, there are still some gaps, and I have to see what I do with those. Then I started building this little, let's call it a little city park, triangular here behind the harbor stopping point. And I also put some, additional walls here. I still didn't finish the garden center, but I put a little bit more walls here, and I secured it's not connected yet, but it has some barriers now. I still wasn't happy with my sanding area here in the rail yard, so I have tinkered with that yet again, and I found now these sanding towers that look, I think, a little bit more fitting with the period, and also this bunker. What I have still to do is adjust the sand so that it has the same color. It's very obvious, I hope, even in the video, that this is a very light beige sand and this is a yellowish beige sand, so that has to be adjusted. Nothing else really has changed here since then. What else has changed? Well, I put some more gravel beds behind this supporting wall behind the harbor. And then I have, there's even a piece missing, I don't know why. That shouldn't have happened. Okay. Well, then I put some plants in here to hide that. But I'm shocked now, I didn't see that this part is missing. Good that I made the video. Let me just add a piece here. Hope it just fits. That would be great. Yeah, it just fits. And then I have to put the gravel bed in as well. Let's see if I can pick the previous one. No, that's not the gravel bed. That is a gravel bed. No, it's not. Move this out of the way. And connect those. See if that actually is connected here or not. Huh. Yeah, it just connects, that's fine. And then put our bushes back to where they were before. So that is now completed, thanks to your help. And so that is good. Sorry for the little delay there. I think from a distance, and I don't, plan to ever, when I finished with this, zoom in here. But it looks, fair enough, I guess. So there will be, I don't know what I do behind the houses here. Will not, in all detail, model every backyard here. That is really not the focus of this work. That is said, I talked about the gravel yet. I put back the water and locked it. I still see this change here in reflection where the boundary is, and I don't like it. I don't know why that is. Both sides have the same height. Still, it is a funny lighting effect. Maybe, I don't know what it is. If one of them is turned by 90 degrees, so that happens, even if I go into drive mode, it is clearly visible. So I have to investigate why that is. Furthermore, I've worked a little bit here in the landscaping. Sorry for the blue there. And made this a little bit, there were just the individual steps behind our industrial area. I've flattened them out. I worked on a few of the tunnels, but not all. These look now a little bit better. And obviously those two not. However, I changed, or I've almost finished. I would almost say I finished it. Yes, the coal loading area, and as you know, I've used the gravel plan for that, which, as we will later see, has a big disadvantage. If you operate it and you see here the structural, the pink contact. Very understandably, what comes out of there is yellowish sand, right? And it doesn't really look like coal, and I didn't find a way of changing that. I can only blame myself for that. It is a gravel plant after all, and I knew that. But I wanted to misappropriate it and use it as a coal loading station. But so there you have it. We will have yellow coal. I guess it's very sulfuric. That comes out of the plant. So that's a thing we have to overlook. Then I used here I have never worked with this type of soil. I think it's called soil 7. It looks like a little bit of dirty soil. And then I tried to adjust the gravel to make it dirty as well and not as grayish like here. And I'm not quite pleased with my result, but I got the idea from a viewer who helps me occasionally. You know who you are. Thank you very much. I'm still working on this. That is probably not the finished result, but it is now not quite as, a jump from this gray. I left a few areas of this gray gravel, which is the gravel that will be outside of this loading area. Though there's a perimeter wall, here's a fence, there's a little guard post, and this is where we have the loading area. And up here is the mining area that we looked at before. Nothing has changed up here. So what I'm gonna do now is I will just show a few more areas that have changed, but nothing major. You see here is what is called the Nor building. That's at least, I guess, how an English speaker would pronounce that. Knorr in German. I have changed to this kind of halls here, a little kind of more old-fashioned looking, not quite as bombastic industry. And then I put this wall in here for now. I'm not sure it's the best choice, and some that are big kind of areas of cobblestones that look actually quite nice in this area. So this gray concrete stuff that you see here will probably be visible in some areas, but it will go away in most. That's really the kind of design changes for today. The most part of the week I have spent with working on the following process. And what we're going to do is we go to the shadow train station now, where there is a, well, there are many areas, as you see. Here's a new area. This track hub here, or this waiting area, is for what I call special operations trains. And this is our coal train. And by the way, just saying that, I was not able to operate the coal cars if I had different types that all can load coal. And especially if there is a similarity in the function name, there seems to be an issue with EEP. As long as they're all the same, the contacts will find the right function and it works. But if I have multiple cars in here, there seem to be some that all start with a particular word, and then there seems to be some issue. So I cannot activate the right function, and the contacts don't do anything. If you know what that is, please let me know. For now, I resigned myself to just using the identical car for the whole train. That's not a problem, I think, in principle. When we are finished with this, I want to basically there will be different trains that do different things. They will all wait here. This one is a coal train, and I will operate this signal via a timetable. However, for this test, and I have tested it once, but I made so many changes after the first test, I'm not sure that sometimes you're surprised. It may not work, but I'll release this train. We'll have a look at what it does. So it will first continue driving through this shadow train station area, and go here to yet another waiting track. I think that is also where the content is that the cars are emptied. The idea is that this train comes with empty cars, they get filled with coal, and then he drives off to a better time with full cars until they're emptied here. So that just happened here. What will now happen is that this train is supposed to feed into this line, which is called the interregional line. But currently the route is occupied by this waiting train, so we have to at least wait until he is gone. After that, I hope this train, our coal train, will get priority. And that train has to wait at the moment until yet another train returns. So if this takes unduly long, I will most likely cut this out, and that you don't kind of stare at my shadow train station for too long, which is not very exciting, I admit it. What I'm going to do is I go to the train station and just sample what's going on. They were basically waiting for this train to return into the shadow train station, and then we can continue. Let me just speed this process up a little bit, that the wait doesn't take too long. Go back to normal speed. Go to the shadow train station again. And see now that our train has been released from here. It now is on its way to this open track. It is not conflicting with the passenger trains at this point. This is a returning train that we just watched getting out of the train station. I hope, yeah, here it is. That is our coal train. Oh, we arrive here at the same time than this. I think it is the Roland. That is the current, well, there are two lines operating, the passenger line on the interregional on tracks 2 and 3, and the local trains on track 1, or I should call them the regional trains on 1. Well, we leave that side alone and go into the freight section of our station here. So far so good. That train should now slowly reverse. Yeah, that is a camera change. It always goes to the beginning of the train by default. Just zoom a little bit out. Oh, there is already a little bit activity now. We see that rail car just leaving. And these trains that are kind of interrupted by the specialty trains will then resume their regular service, basically. Should soon speed up a little bit, yeah, up to 30. And we kind of have to take advantage of the rail yard back there to get to the bridge. Oh, I forgot to mention it. I also changed this bridge. It used to be a very different bridge. It was too narrow. I had issues with this crossing, which was over a switch point, which was really not looking good. And I couldn't extend the track further because of the narrow bridge. And now I have a wider bridge and I could put the switch further back here, and my crossing is not over the switch point, which is, I guess, a good thing. Oh yeah, I could have waited showing you the sanding area until now. So we just went to here backwards, but that's fine. Let's call that just a shunting distance, and now we go forward again. Actually, this bridge here is not bad with the metal construction there. Given that we use this Beal bridge with a similar construction, it may even be more fitting than the previous one. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, almost said. When we start doing harbor traffic, that will be another special operations that is not yet done. So for now there are no trains going over that bridge. It's just waiting there for future trains to come. So now we are out of the rail yard. We can speed up a little bit. This train will slowly accelerate up to 60, which I think is a reasonable speed. You see our long distance traffic passing by in the distance. Actually, on our return trip we will use one of those lines, just saying that we can actually observe that area closer. Coming to our little suburban village, which is completely unpopulated. People haven't moved in yet. They can't because it doesn't have road access. How could they get there? Do you see a ghost town here? And yes, we have some avalanches here and some unfinished tunnels for now. Now we are up in the industrial area, miraculously. That house is, please ignore it, I have to delete it. Actually do it now before I forget it again. Not supposed to be there. And I'm sure there will be many changes to be made here in this. You know, I wouldn't call the buildings placeholders by now. I'm sure that several of the buildings, or even most, will stay where they are. But they will not stand on an empty concrete, I promise you that, once you're done. Also not sure if those two buildings look great beside each other. May have been hasty exchanging this. Now that I see it, the grey stone with the brick there. Probably not the best choice. Anyhow, we slow down. I extended the sidings. Also notice that I put this road up here at 60 centimeter height, and I had to lower it so that the crossing looks okay. It was floating in mid-air. So we just go into the siding and will block traffic. In the future there will be a secured crossing here because there will be traffic going through this area. Okay, yeah, okay, I thought already it doesn't work. These days I use usually an 8 seconds wait between changes of direction, and I'm not using any honking. I think, I don't even know that. I just observed it from other people's layouts that when engines change direction they always honk apparently. So if I want to be realistic, I have to introduce some honking as well. Which is easy to do. You can actually just make a little click in one of the contact properties where you change direction anyways, so you don't even need a new contact. You can just switch on the honking. Or the horn. So we're approaching our gravel/coal plant. I have a real coal plant, but I don't want to use it. I wanted to use this one. I wanted to make a change. You see the other coal plant in the freight traffic layout. I have already made a video of it and it is beautiful. I have no issues with it. The reason I use this is just for change, and I've never used this building anywhere. And after I saw the yellow sand coming out of there, I thought, well, maybe I should actually make it a sand loading station, for argument's sake, right? Why not? There's no harm, but then the mining traffic all up there would be wrong, because that is really something that you have only at a coal plant or something similar, and not at a gravel plant. Gravel would come out of a gravel pit. And there would be some big excavators and not some mining tunnels. So that is an issue. And now you see our yellowish coal coming down very soon, while the train pushes those cars through at very low speed. There we go. Even started it a little bit too early. I have to push the contact back, or I have to put a delay in. I think we lost some coal. So it's probably very hard to make somebody believe that that is coal. Yeah, I know. I wanted to go into this view because what I do is I fill the coal cars up. As soon as the yellow coal hits the cars, it becomes, of course, black, as we know it. And I had several contacts in a row here to fill up the cars. Slowly they get fuller and fuller, even though only one car actually gets the coal. And I have to also delay the stop further, I see now, so the last car doesn't get anything. Yet it got full. Wonderful. Okay. If anybody knows whether you can change the texture of that sand coming out there, please let me know. That would be fantastic. But I doubt you can. So what we do now is we drive back through the unfinished area, but if we just continue as this, we go back in our siding and, you know, switch directions and go back, we would push the cars. And that is not only a safety issue, that is, well, it is a safety issue, but for multiple reasons. In my past videos, I always mentioned that it is less stable mechanically to push cars than pull cars. That is true. But I could imagine another main reason is visibility. You want to see signals not at the end of the train, you want to probably see them when you approach. I just saw an old movie about a train driver, and he was staring through the steam, was a steam engine, at signals at high speed. It was a passenger train in the movie, and he had a really hard time seeing those signals ahead of time with pure eyesight in the 50s. And as a result, I'm pretty sure they appreciate it to be at least up front and not behind. So what I instead do now is I leave my cars behind for a moment and let the blue engine run ahead, go down already towards the exit, and then use the red Henschel diesel engine to carry the cars after it, so that so that we're in the right order again. Basically, that is my idea here. So for the longer distances, I use these predefined routes. You see some of the, when I go into build mode, you see the start and finish signals, but this shunting I do with contacts and lure functions only. By lure functions, I mean if there are multiple switches to be set for one, you know, section or leg, I just write one function and put all the correct settings in there in one contact, instead of having a contact for every switch, which is kind of painful. So I just write a function, say set EEP set switch this, that, and the other thing. And that is very efficient, I think. Then you can have multiple legs. You call them call 1, call 2, call 3, and list those functions in your routine. So that train will now just wait there. Let me go back to mouse mode. The Henschel should already be on its way. It's basically activated as soon as that blue engine gets into its waiting position. And I will now pick up those cars and do a delivery job, basically. So last time the coupling was very rough here. I adjusted the contacts a little bit. It may still be rough. I haven't tested the final position of the contacts yet. Let's have a look. Yeah, well, so I have to put the contacts yet further forward, and I slow the speed down to 1, but it's too late. I think it slows down too late and it crashes with a higher speed in. So it starts by 10. It may have been slowing down already, but it was certainly not at 1 kilometer per hour. The next question I had was whether I want to make this direction change, which is now necessary to pull the cars down there where the blue engine is, the 212 I believe, here just when these cars go over the switch point. And I think that would have been probably more realistic. However, I have the whole machinery in place to change direction back there, which I do multiple times, so I reuse it, just not to overload the layout with contacts. So I have the train go back all the way. That has of course the disadvantage that we have to stop road traffic once more. You see also my wall experiments, there will be different walls for these different industries as well, and I put some samples out there just to see which one is the right choice for which building. I think those two are actually okay, they don't bite each other, color-wise I mean. Alright, almost there. Looks very barren back there, I know. But I see this being a forested hill basically in the end. Just haven't decided if it is conifers or leaf trees. Or a mix. Alright, I hope that's not too boring. I'm watching this of course with an eagle eye just to see mistakes. So far there certainly have to be some adjustments. But I don't have to interfere at least. It continues and does its thing. So far. The very first time I do those things, I always have a huge number of mistakes, and it would be very frustrating to watch, to see the train go for a little bit, and then what I often do is I don't have the right route on the right contact. It's still on any, but it should not be triggered by that engine and rather the other. And as you see, those engines, I use now the R1 to RN basically. So I just call them up. And here I get actually away with just 3 routes before I switch the main train back to coal. And that is not too many. If I compare that with the other layout where we had this super complex lumber shunting, I think it went up to 9 or 10 separate routes. Okay, that train goes now back to the end and then into a waiting position. I will just zoom out very far. We can hopefully observe both. Yeah, I know. And at one point we should activate the blue engine. This is the best I can do. Yeah, now it activated. Let's trust that the Henschel does its thing. We pick up the rail cars. Henschel will move forward in time. And there's an invisible signal where it just stops and waits until the next drop opportunity, which will be a different type of train. Perhaps a corn train or, something like that. I also think I will put something in here and unload a parcel-based train. So, we should speed up now and leave this area and drive back along the river, but not across the river. Oh, there the commuter train is just arriving. That's nice. Very faithful. Yeah, there are certainly some adjustments necessary here. I haven't done tunnel breakthroughs here yet. I just blackened it. That's fine for me. Of course, if you do those cab rides, it's if you do the cab rides, then it's very obvious. If you see it from a distance, it's not so bad. But I may do them anyways. The road is still not really adjusted with the height of the land. Actually, here it's a little bit better. I will do that. And perhaps we see some trains, perhaps even passing us. It's not impossible. Most trains on this route... Yeah, well, there's some work to be done. Most trains on this line, I wanted to say, drive much faster than the coal train. And as a result, will pass us if they're close enough. Just... Ah, there is one. There we... Speaking of it. Yeah, without pantograph up. Wonderful. The battery train. I think the black gives from it up to a certain distance a good illusion. If you get close enough, of course you see it. Yeah, and we are back into the shadow train station, where we get directly into the entry level of the special train section. And we still have a lot of space here. In worst case, we could yet have another of those harps in here. And we go to the same track that we arrived from. And that was a full circle of the coal process. Well, if you have any questions about how to do that, I doubt you will, but it's pretty straightforward. I'd be very happy to go over more details, but I didn't bore people by showing them every contact and every single function in the program. That is probably not that exciting, but if necessary, I'd be happy to do so. Thanks for watching. As usual, please let me know what suggestions you have. Some very few do. I really like that, and I thank you for it. And for now, I wish you a wonderful evening, and see you perhaps at the next video. Good evening. Bye-bye.